What's good, YouTube fam? It's your boy Tony, aka the Senator Chaos and Controversy, and this video, this video ought to be insightful, okay? And I say insightful because I've stated before in prior conversations and other videos, like when people engage in a debate or an argument, or if they have a point of view, or if they have a perspective on something and they're passionate about it, and they're um, pretty much invested in their perspective on how they view a particular subject matter or topic of discussion. I always say, have a point of reference to support your argument, you know and some people, they don't do that. They just respond with emotion or insults or whatever the case may be. They don't have anything as far as facts to support their argument or their stand on things like that. Or they don't have anything, as a how should I say, opposite point of view. I guess that's not what I want to say, but something tangible that can you know debunk certain narratives, so to speak. Okay. Now, this video I got um, that I'm doing is intentionally and for the purpose of, for those that seem to be one-sided when it comes to law enforcement and people's input, whether they're fully, on the bootlicking mentality of, the cops can do no wrong, comply or die. You should have not put yourself in a predicament or whatever, in disregarding the fact that 9 times out of 10, law enforcement, police, and cops insert themselves into people's lives and stuff. People will be going about minding their own business, and here you got some type of form of law enforcement inserting themselves in people's business and stuff like that. Unnecessarily, 9 times out of 10. Okay? Um, but you got a lot of people that, in reference to those who support and are subscribed to Brandon Tatum, and they endorse or entertain his rhetoric on a lot of the people in the black community who, with the overall perspective, I want to say are thugs, criminals, always looking into their past, even though, come to find out, he got a past of his own. But he gets a pass and gets excused because he decided to join law enforcement. So bringing up his past is irrelevant to everybody else, to others, but for everybody else, you're condemned for life. You don't have the ability to progress or make changes in your life, to evolve or become better than who you were. Only Officer Brandon Tatum. Um, and it's that rhetoric when you pass judgment on people and badger them and put them down and make them feel like they ain't worth shit, that they worthless. But that was the same rhetoric that was entertained by a particular group of people when they were looking down on black people in history. So you got some people picking up where other people left off, right? But he got he got videos, and he got people that's like me, Ricky Manor, the Amazing Lucas, that's calling him out on his nonsense, his bullshit, right? And the constructive criticism, people just don't get. Automatically, you get the go-to fucking rebuttals is, oh, people just hating. Oh, because you don't have the type of amount of subs that he has. We don't care about the fucking people that are subscribed to him. We don't care about the amount of people that are subscribed to us. All we care about is balancing the scales calling out the bullshit for what it is, and addressing the fact that there are people that do self-hate. There are people that, gain the approval of other people by throwing other people up under the bus. Just, again, to get the approval of. Now, when it comes to his position as an ex-officer, and when he gives his feedback or his opinions or his perspective on a lot of incidences that occur that people claim to be controversial, he's very one-sided. There is no change. And then when you get him with the, I got you, how can you, dispute this? He just either deflects from it or completely dismisses it because he can never be wrong. He can never be wrong. In regards to anything concerning police or law enforcement interaction with civilians, he ain't never wrong. Police are always right. You are always wrong. Case closed. Cut and dry. There's no gray area. There's no, well, I could kind of see where, this officer probably kind of took it to the extreme where because even though, this person was probably not complying, it didn't have to go this far, or, he didn't deserve this or whatever. Nope, Brandon Tatum's all about that thuggery. He supports being a thug with a badge. The gang's in blue. And if you a person that just happens to be a civilian, you better not do anything other than fucking breathe, basically. But that's where the conflict comes into play. That's where the disagreements and the disapproval and the pushback, because there is a history between police and the black community, and it isn't a good one. It isn't a good one. So when people say, oh, or people like Brandon Tatum say, oh, hey, if black people act accordingly and conduct themselves in this particular manner or that manner and stuff like that. Okay, so what about when, when blacks were fighting for equality, what I'm saying? Boycotting, going against certain laws of segregation and doing sit-ins and stuff like that. Now, this was law, right? Because you're all about obeying the law, right? Correct. Right or wrong, right? And you got these policemen that were attacking people with police dogs, beating them, beyond the sense of them having consciousness, spraying them with water hoses and stuff like that, throwing people in jail or killing them, But because they disobeyed the law, it made what was going on in regards to the laws that were put in place right. See, between laws and a morality issue, and he'll tell you, say, your place isn't out there on the street to fight, the police, take it to court and stuff like that. Sometimes people don't get a chance to make it to court. Sometimes, because of your mentality, you feel that cops are allowed to play the role of Judge Dredd, to be the judge, the jury, and the executioner. And then I asked the question, well, if that's the case, if that's the mentality that you have, then what's the point of people having a judicial system? What's the point of having courts? What's the point of having judges, prosecutors, lawyers, defense attorneys? And it baffles me the train of thought that this man has, because he makes it just black and white, just. And then when it comes to the race, it's like he don't balance the scales. I've said this many times over. He don't balance the scales. He makes it a race issue. He points out like his disapproval of the black community, certain elements of the black community, and he only focuses on the black criminal element. He don't say shit about the white criminal element. He don't focuses on them, because he will lead you to believe that only blacks are criminal, only blacks are the ones that's capable of doing crime, and everyone else is exempt. It's unheard of. Just like police brutality is unheard of. Police corruption is unheard of. Domestic violence in the homes of police is unheard of. Planting evidence and drugs on suspects by the police is unheard of. Police being affiliated with gangs, like in LA, unheard of. Police having ties with the mob, unheard of. Police having racial issues with certain groups, unheard of, right? And just when I felt like I was being suffocated by the rhetoric coming from fucking Brandon Tatum with this one-sided, kiss-ass, whatever, narrow-minded, comply or die mentality shit. Then you get Joe, who I recently come across. And he has a platform. He has a platform where he's an ex-officer black, and he his platform is titled Police Brutality Matters, right? And it addresses policy. It addresses the rights and the wrongs, you know? And like after certain videos that he shares, you know, he has a little insert where, you know, it's recycled over and over again. Not in every video, but for the ones where he's not really commentating on, where he says, you know, people be like, well, what side are you on? And he said, the right side. You know, there is right and wrong, you know? And it's a breath of fresh air to see a person who is black, who was an officer, who addresses these issues. And you know what the crazy thing is? He doesn't insert race into the his you know, assessment on looking at these videos and giving his perspective on it. You know, he'll say, you know, this police department and this suspect. That's it. He don't say this black person, this white person, this Hispanic person. No, he says this police officer in this particular situation, when he encountered this suspect, whatever, he said he was wrong. You know, policy says that, you know, when you engage in this particular scenario, this is the proper procedure of how you go about, you know, conducting yourself as an officer, and the protocol behind, you know, the steps taken to assess the situation. You know, that's not, all the emotions that's tied in, and all the I feared for my life, or I thought he had this, or I assumed this, or well, I was under the impression of. No. He's just like, nope, this is policy, this is what you're supposed to do, boom, 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 boom. And it's like, where were you all this time? Because you got us saying there like, this mother Brandon Tatum is just like, are there any officers that could counteract this person's fucking claims and how things are done? And he is very like, the way he addresses different case by case scenarios, like, okay, Now, I was interrupted like 2 or 3 times, and this is my third run trying to do this video. But okay, you got two similar scenarios where it involves police officers and suspects in vehicles. Okay? Now, actually there's three, but there's two that's very, very much similar. Now, um, I'm sure you remember the story of these two young black teenagers, and I don't recall their names at this given point in time, but one went to go pick up the other kid, and I guess they were driving. He was driving down one side, and the cops were going on the opposite side, and they made a U-turn, and they came to confront these kids for whatever reason. I don't know the details in full. However, what I do know is that when the kid picked up the other kid, the cops' immediate response was, "Get out the car!" Oh, and the kids backed up and went around the officer. It was like trying to go around the officers because all the kids saw was these cops got guns drawn on us. What the fuck is going on? Hell no, I'm trying to get the hell out of this situation and get to safety because I'm not trying to get killed. Unfortunately, that's what ended up happening. Shots were fired from the police officers and to the side of the fucking car, not to the front of the car, but on the side of the car, and ended up killing both driver and passenger in the vehicle, right? And the excuse was, "Oh, I thought my life was in danger. I feared for my life." Dude, okay, now I'm gonna break it down. Cars trying to get away from you, not trying to come towards you, not trying to hit you or nothing of that matter. And you're not in front of the vehicle, so you're in no immediate danger, okay? So you resorting to terminate somebody should have been the last resort, okay? But that was your immediate response. You didn't think to shoot out the tires or none of that. You just thought, "Oh, I got to somehow neutralize the situation by killing the suspects." So you shot into a vehicle with two teenagers because you felt that there was a threat to you. Now, what I deem as a threat isn't a person getting in the vehicle, driving away from me or trying to get away from me and stuff like that. Okay? You know, Somewhere along the line, you got to utilize common sense. Somewhere along the line, you got to use discretion. Somewhere along the line, you have to look at at the situation. And people say, "Well, cops got a matter of seconds. They have to react. They have to react. They have to respond in this manner. Sometimes they're not given this." And there's a whole slew of excuses and uh, rational reasoning behind why cops should be are justified in using deadly force. Okay, and a lot of cases I say it's a bunch of bullshit. It's a bunch of bullshit. And people say, "Well, Tony, you're not a cop. How would you know?" But okay, but when you have other people like me that are cops or lawyers or prosecution or whatever the case may be, and they know the law and they go over police policy, police procedure, um, what you can and cannot do, and stuff, and what you're allowed to and what you're not allowed to. It gives a whole different spin on the justification and the actions or the reactions of law enforcement in certain case by case scenarios, right? So you fear for your life. because someone was in fear for their lives because they see a potential threat, guns aimed at them. So what you're telling me is that cops are only entitled to be in fear of their lives. Us as civilians, we gotta keep our emotions in check. That fight or flight just doesn't apply to us. But when it comes to the officer, oh, they have every fucking shit to their disposal to excuse how they respond and how they react to civilians. No accountability, no restraint. But us, on the other hand, we supposed to know all of this shit. But yet you got these officers as, and the guy's name is Joe, by the way. He's the one that conducts the police brutality matter videos and stuff like that. And he said it too. He said a barber has more time training to become a barber than a police officer does, unless you're a veteran police officer and you have more time under your belt. Now there was another video where there was another case where police shot into a vehicle, shot into a truck. Now, you could clearly see that the truck was not coming towards the officer at any given point. The suspect was trying to get away from the officer, but he was blocked in. But the officers, needless to say, shot into the truck, shot, the suspect was bleeding and everything. Dog got yeeted. And you can hear, I think, the father of the guy, because he was the passenger, saying, "You killed my fucking dog, you killed my fucking dog." But they didn't give any concern to his son, so to speak. I believe that was his son that was on the driver's side. But he's like, and then, he said, I'm sorry. And then the cop said, that was fucking stupid. You're fucking stupid. Just coming out. But, when you're in fear and you got these cops, it's just like, do cops not think that people are afraid of them? Do you think we just welcome them with open arms and, hey, we just trust you? You give us no reason to fear you. No. And 9 times out of 10, cops approach you with such aggressive mannerisms. Like, and 9 times out of 10, you trying to, like, get your thoughts together as to what the fuck is going on. They come at you, guns drawn, what the fuck? You sitting there like, what okay, hold up, what's going on, And then come to find out, oh, you weren't the person we were looking for. The fuck? Oh, you fit the description of. How many times has that been recycled? I'm just saying. And then there was that other incident where this woman, and Joe pointed out, he said, now I know there's a lot of people that sat there and said, why didn't this woman just stop? Why did she keep going? And it was that incident with the cop that T-boned the woman that was driving, and she's driving with her flashes on. And he said in the book, in the driver's manual, I forgot what state it was that this took place, that you are able to slow down at a reduced speed, put your blinkers on, or your flashes on, and when you feel that you can pull over to a safe area, proceed to do so. She wasn't fleeing from the cop. She wasn't, and the cop just T-boned her, car ended up flipping. Come to find out, this woman was pregnant. Now, what if she had lost that child based on the fucking actions of this officer? And all he cared about was, well, you didn't stop. It's all about, you gotta just conduct yourself in a manner where, almost like if you in the army and you got your drill sergeant and they're telling you to drop and do 10, drop and do 20, run this, run that, do so many pull-ups. And they're yelling at you, barking all these commands and orders and stuff. You just, but the difference is we're not in the military. We are civilians, supposedly liberated in a free country. But again, That's the illusion that's also ridiculous. There's nothing free about this country that we live in. Some way, somehow, we are always paying for something. Some way, somehow, we are always being cited for something or penalized for something. And a lot of it's trivial. And the ones that enforce a lot of this shit is none other than who? Law enforcement. Okay? So, yeah. So, with these two comparisons, with Brandon Tatum on one side and Joe from Police Brutality Matters on the other side, both ex-officers, both black. So, Brandon Tatum, when he has his perspective on police interaction and police encounters, and he throws race and color into the situation, um, a lot of the criticism and feedback and disagreements coming from the black community are people who feel like, you know what, why are you shitting on us? You know, and what's the reasoning for it? Why do you conduct your narrative with this particular tone? You know, and through his responses in certain videos, he still doesn't get it, even when it's told to him, when it's presented to him. And then his fucking followers and his subs are fucking retarded too. Because they're like, oh, they're just, hey, we don't give a fuck how many subscriptions or subs he got. We don't. What we care about is the rhetoric that he pushes and people supporting it. Because, believe it or not, that shit causes division. And like I said, there's enough division in the black community without the help of another person who is black. Condoning this shit. And like I said, there's ways to go about it. There's ways to get your point across without putting other people down. And I said it too. I said I've never seen an Hispanic officer on the police force sit there and shit on his own community the way Brandon Tatum does. His own black people. Or pretty much he disowned us for the most part. Except for those that like follow suit, you know, and just are like, you know, in agreement with everything he says. I don't see white officers putting their people down. And there's criminal element in all these different races and cultures and stuff. But the only people I see that do this shit is our own people. And it's funny too because prior to Officer Brandon Tatum, you have it displayed in movies like Boys in the Hood, where you had that one black officer when fucking Lawrence Fishburne's house was getting broken into, and Trey was young at the time, and he's sitting there spewing that stupid rhetoric, and Lawrence Fishburne just looking at him saying, he said, is there a problem? He said, nah, there's no problem, brother. You know, he said, come on, Trey, get back in the house. Because that was a self-hating black dude, right? Only for him to grow, for Trey to grow up and come across that same ignorant-ass black cop. Him putting a gun up to Trey. And then the white officers looking at him like, what the fuck are you doing? And Trey sitting there with tears running down his eyes, crying. Because, you know, he ain't into no trouble. He's not part of no gang. And then, okay, so, and then you have another movie of a black cop in a predominant white precinct called, what was it called? The Blue Shield? And it had Ice Cube in it. and he was like a suspect that was framed for murder or some shit like that. And how them cops were kind of like, you either with us or against us. And he's like, damn, I just came into this apartment and I'm seeing all this corruption and shit going on. What do I do? You know what I'm saying? And even though it's like entertainment, you know how they say life imitates art imitates life and stuff like that. The face case scenarios isn't far from being fictional, from fiction. It isn't. Point of references. But I don't know. I don't know. But I'm gonna promote this channel. His name is Joe. He does police brutality matters, and I feel that he's fair, far more than being fair, when he addresses the conduct of police. And he doesn't just make it about race. As a matter of fact, I have yet to see a video where he does make it about race. He excludes race when he talks about these videos. He's strictly about policing, the policies, and the rights and the wrongs. He excludes race in his talking points. And that, I feel, coming from a black officer, that's the way to go. The Brandon Tatum route, well, hey, that's another option. People can support that or not. But I'm in support of Joe. He's the type of person that gains my attention. It gives me the want to sit down and listen and say, okay, I see what you're saying. But anyway, until next video, please like, share, and subscribe. It's getting hot. Stay hydrated. But yeah, peace.